Okay, well, welcome to this very special Meet the Miniaturist. If you are just catching my YouTube channel or following me on social media, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you for joining this special Meet the Miniaturist. I want to, in a second, bring up our special guest today, Danielle Martucci. She's based here in New York, which is where I'm also from. She's actually a registered nurse working in the emergency room. So, wow, all of that combined with the fact that she is this awesome miniaturist from Vintage Chic Miniatures on Instagram. We'll hear about her work. We'll hear about her design aesthetic and some of her early inspirations. And I think we're going to get a little bit of some tips and tricks on how she achieves some of those awesome weathering techniques. So with that, I would like to bring up our special guest, Danielle. Yay! How are you, Danielle?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so excited you're here. I was so struck when I found you on Instagram. I love your whole aesthetic. And I'm still trying to figure out because it's so unique. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about some of your inspirations early on, how it brought you to this place. And so let's hear all about it. Talk a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your background, and then we'll talk about the transition into making miniatures.
Okay, I'm a registered nurse. I work in the ER. I've been a nurse since 1996, working in the ER for 3 years. I'm finishing my master's degree in 3 weeks for nurse education. And I've been collecting dollhouses since I'm 10. I'm 50, so it's like 40 years.
I just think it's amazing that you are able to achieve both those things. I mean, it's big enough that you're just like working full time as in a heavily stressful role. And then you have this other side to you. It must help kind of, bring you to a less stressful place. I mean, we'll hit that a little bit, but I want to hear from you now, like just about that. Like, does that help you? Because that's a very stressful job.
Right. So it always helped. Even when I was younger, like if I was upset about anything, I would sit in front of my dollhouse. I would just stare at it and it would just take me to like another place. So it does make you forget anything that bothers you. And it does definitely take you away to another place. Like I love miniatures. Like I love them so much.
Yeah. No,
My friends make fun of me.
Good for them. Let them. I think it's amazing that we have this joy in our lives and some others don't necessarily understand it, but it doesn't matter. We have it. We're so grateful to have it. To have that passion.
Yes.
Exactly that one chuckle that you have. I get it. We get it. And thank goodness we have that.
No, I love it. It's like a cute little world that we have.
And only we get it, which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It's kind of our own.
Yep.
I mean, as much as I love for people to try to get this world, I'm so glad that we have it. So
exactly.
So now let's talk a little bit about your early experiences. So I understand you had a dollhouse growing up.
my first dollhouse that my father had built.
Yes.
The front was different. So the brick on the bottom, it was more of that red and black brick that I think it was just like a sticker that he sprayed like something on it. So I had changed that over the years, and the color, the gray, was like a neutral wood. I had changed that. But that was the first dollhouse that my father built me when I was 10.
I love that you still have that, right?
Yeah.
It's still in your collection.
I can't get rid of it.
And you shouldn't, as long as you have the room for it. It's yours.
and he built me a solarium.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know if you see it.
And you still have that?
He'll have that too.
Oh my goodness. That is just wonderful to have that support. So now I understand your dad was very involved in the miniatures world too, in a different segment in the model railroading world. Talk a little bit about what that was like growing up.
So that was awesome because for Christmas, he would run the train around the Christmas tree, and me and my sister would like lay on the floor. We had to be, 6, 5. And he would shut all the lights off, put the Christmas tree on, put the lights on for the train, and just run it around the tree. And it was a beautiful, like warm feeling. It really was.
Yeah. Could you remember though, growing up, like, was that sort of your earliest inspiration to miniatures? Because they are so different than dollhouse, but they are tiny things
Right, and the N scale was my favorite. He
Oh,
had
really super tiny.
the N scale, so he would take me to the train stores originally. I would go with him, he would buy trains, and then he would show me like the N scale, and I'm like, that was another thing that I was like, wow, I love these little tiny trains and these little tiny people, like they were tiny. And then
Yes.
we were going to the shows, Raritan Bay in New Jersey, and they had a dollhouse and train show. So he
Uh-huh.
started taking me to
Did
those.
you go often, like every year, like that kind of thing?
Yeah, it was like every year. And the
Oh,
night before, I would be so excited because I knew when I wake up in the morning, like we
yeah.
would be going to the dollhouse show, and like I was so excited.
And that's amazing that you were able to share this shared joy with your dad, and it
Mhm.
was at a time when they combined the railroad with the dollhouse.
Yes, they
That
stopped.
doesn't really happen anymore.
No,
So
no.
it's kind of amazing that you had this shared connection and you could see the dollhouses, he could see the railroading. What an
Mhm.
awesome experience.
And then we drive home, and I'd open up all my miniatures, and I would show him what I got.
Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness. Now, where are all those trains today and all of that stuff?
My father had passed during COVID,
Oh, really?
um, at my hospital, which was very ironic and unfortunate because, you know, but
Yeah.
very sad. But so all his trains are at my parents' house.
Okay. Wow, that's deep. All right. Well, sorry to hear that. But you had this awesome experience with him. So
Yes,
that's amazing. It is
yes,
amazing. All
yes.
right. So um talk to me about like, okay, so you had this wonderful experience growing up with miniatures. How did this transition happen to actually making miniatures and I guess collecting miniatures to some extent and then ultimately selling miniatures?
So I guess I always, collected them. As I got older, I was able to spend more money on the nicer miniatures. So I would say I always like collected. As far as me starting to do them myself, I guess because I was looking for certain things to like complete my rooms. And I couldn't find them, or they were really expensive. So I couldn't afford them. So I was like,
Right.
let me see if I could do it myself. I also used to do like real furniture. Like I redid my dining room table. I repaint like real furniture.
Yeah.
I don't sell that because that's way too hard to like lug back and forth. So I said, you know what? Let me see if I could do it in miniature, which is like to me so much easier.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and then I was like, you know what? Let me see like pieces that I had that I, let's say, wanted to refurbish, but maybe not necessarily keep because I wanted to buy like more expensive pieces. I said, let me see if I could sell them,
Yeah.
and I'll put them on Etsy and I'll see if people like them.
Yeah.
And then people like them.
Yeah, people like them. I have to say that that's when I think that's how I first saw you was at a show. And
Yes.
I walked up to the table and it hit me hard. I'm like,
Thank
wow,
you. That means a lot. That
this
means a lot.
is this is lovely. This is wonderful. This is different. This is tugging at every emotional heartstring. So
Thank
let's talk about that design aesthetic because I think that's what hit me hardest is sort of that overall look and feel of your designs. And you call it French country. Talk to me about what that is.
I guess that's where I maybe get confused because my boyfriend's daughter was like, "What era is this from?" And I was like, "Oh, it's French." And my boyfriend's like, "That's not an era, Danielle." So I all I could say is I like old, I like vintage, I
Yeah.
like distressed.
Yeah.
I do like that piece. The post office is very no detail, which I
Yeah.
like, but I
Yeah.
also like best pack pieces with a lot of detail. So
Yeah.
to say like my aesthetic, I guess that's where I get a little
Yeah. You know,
confused to
that is hitting the nail on the head is the fact that you don't know,
I don't know.
which is why it becomes so unique because it's drawing from different places, not one place. And it's just things that you like. And I think that's what's making it so unique. You're not sort of copying an era. You're not sort of going, you're drawing inspiration from various places, putting them together into your own unique look and feel.
Yes, I guess that was pretty brilliant.
That's why it hit me so hard.
Thank you.
So wow, that's all I can say is wow for now. So you have this based on a need. It all came from based on a need to make pieces that you couldn't either buy or find or afford. So you're like, I'm going to make it myself.
Right, I'll
And
try it. see if I could do it myself, because again, I was able to distress real furniture, which is not.
Yes.
And it's funny because people would always ask, how do you distress it? Do you sand it down? No, meaning if I have a piece that is coated, like let's say a Best Pack piece that was coated,
Mhm.
I can't sand that down. That'll take me forever. All those little details, even with a real piece, like I can't sand it down. I paint over it.
Ah,
Then I sand it down.
ah,
I stain it. And then
right,
I just play with the paint.
right.
That's kind of like how I do it. I
Yeah,
really rarely sand a piece down to the raw wood.
yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because here are some of the actual the specific pieces and some examples of your weathering finishes, if you will.
Mhm.
So you're saying you don't do a lot of sanding necessarily.
No, sometimes what'll happen is if I had a piece that I wanted to refinish, maybe the first yellow piece that you had shown, I think I had put paper on it, and I'm like, I don't like the paper. So I went to take the paper off of it, and it wasn't fully coming off. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to just put a stain on it. And then the way the stain captured the old glue and old paper, I was like, wow. So sometimes things happen by mistake.
Yeah, they call
I was
those
like,
happy
wow.
accidents.
And I loved the look of it.
Yeah,
Like even this piece, I think this piece I painted a few times because I wasn't crazy about it. Or I would, yeah, I just wipe it off, and whatever comes off is what I leave it. If I like the way it came out, I leave it. If I don't, I'll touch it up. But there's really no like trick,
yeah.
you know.
Well, it's trial and error to your point. If you don't like it, you keep doing it until you like it, right? Is
Right,
that
like the top of that blue piece, I sand all the way down because I feel like that kind of needs to be like woody. But
yes.
everything else, like imagine sanding down these little nooks and crannies of a piece. I think
Yeah.
I would take off the detail of it. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'm sure people know how to do it. I don't know how to do it, so I'll sand like bits and pieces.
Right. So you take it for the most part, you take existing pieces, let's say Best Pack, manufactured commercial pieces, but quality pieces.
But yes, like for the most part, like this piece was, I don't know if you could see it. It was Best Pack, and it was like that shiny brown wood. All I did was paint it black, sand it in specific spots. Again, I don't know how noticeable it is, and I would get this effect. But just a regular wooden Best Pack piece, nothing to write home about. But
But that's actually a really beautiful piece. So you're choosing well because not all that's a Best Pack piece?
that's a Best Pack piece. It was an estate piece. It was like missing a piece of wood, so I got it for like reasonable. But
Yeah, but I have to
missing
say
drawers. It's missing
it's,
drawer.
it's a beautiful Best Pack piece. So you're starting with good choices to begin with.
I try. Like I feel like the pieces with the more detail look better. This doesn't have any detail, but it was just a trunk. So same thing. I sanded it down. I added a little like a print, a little frame, and that's it. I think this piece was originally like green. And I don't remember, but I kept it for myself because I loved it.
Yeah. So, what are some of the materials that you use? Do you use acrylics? Where are you at in terms of materials to do your finishing?
So I'll go to Home Depot. I'll get regular stain. I have it. I don't even know if you could see stuff, but I have all my like stains over there. And literally, I'll go to Hobby Lobby and I'll get like acrylic paint. Sometimes I'll get wall paint, like what you paint walls with, because obviously it's bigger and it's
Yeah,
cheaper. So I'll buy like little samples. I'll go to like Lowe's, get
yeah.
Sherwin-Williams, whatever brand they have, and
And
just
that's acrylic as well, or is it oil paints, or do you know?
not oil paint. It's wall paint. So it was wall
Like
paint.
probably acrylic.
Okay, yeah, not oil. I don't think I've ever used oil. I
Right.
use stuff that's easy to like to wash because usually my nails get like full of stain. I'll go into work and I'm like, guys, my hands aren't dirty. I was painting my dollhouses over the weekend. They're like, okay, Danielle.
You're talking about basic supplies that you would find in a hardware store or
Yep.
a home improvement store.
It's hard to find dollhouse supplies. It really
Yeah.
is.
When we chatted earlier, you were talking about how hard it is to find materials. Talk a
Oh,
little bit about that. What are some of the sources that you can suggest for folks who are at home DIYing it, hobbying, that kind of thing?
So I'll sometimes, like I said, I'll go to Hobby Lobby. I'll look for a fabric that's like small print ribbon. Um, I'll go to Hobby Lobby and I'll get some like ribbon, because usually the ribbon has like a smaller print. I was trying to find something like this ribbon over here is Hobby Lobby. So you could cut the edges and you could get like a trimming.
Nice. Wait, stop there, because that is a really great piece of advice. Talk about that. How you can pull up that chair is so gorgeous.
So this is it. That's the material.
Oh.
I'm shaking.
Yeah.
That's
So
the chair.
how you identified that trim that was part of the ribbon that you translated over to the chair.
Right. So I like this color. It's like a mustardy velvet. So I'm like, you know what? I think that's big enough to put on a seat cushion. But then I love the fact that on both sides it had the trimming. So I used the inner part, obviously, for that. And then I cut the edging. As you can tell, it's a little cut. And I just trimmed the whole, I'll put it back. Like I trimmed the whole thing. So like that's Hobby Lobby, Otherwise, I guess Etsy. Like Etsy, they sell like lace. So I'll get like small lace. But as far as like this is June. This is a June piece. I have no idea where she got that fabric. It's the most beautiful fabric I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
How gorgeous is that? Like, I don't know where did she find this? I don't know. I love it. So like stuff like that for me, very, very hard to find. I think I need advice on where to get fabric, because I feel like,
so what comes first for you? Do you sometimes just purchase because you'll find something to use with it later, or are you specific when you shop, or both?
Nope. If I see something like this, I love this, I'm like, let me get it, whatever. I'm sure I could use it for something. No, usually I don't have anything specific. I'm sorry, my computer. Usually I don't have anything specific. If I see something I like, I'll get it. And the dollhouse shows. I haven't gone to a dollhouse show probably in 15 years. And then I started when I did my first show last year. I said, you know what? I'm going to go to them again. And like the dollhouse show, Chicago had good fabric. We discussed this. Dragonfly.
Yeah.
She had beautiful fabric. I said, you know what? I'm gonna get some.
Can I just take a step back? I have to say, the choice of that mustard,
I love that
ribbon, is just blowing me away, because I don't think anybody would say, yeah, it's a beautiful color.
They had Hobby Lobby in this fabric, and this velvet fabric with that trimming has about 6 different colors, and they're all equally gorgeous. There's a blue, there's a green, there's a pink, there's that mustard. I probably should go back after this and get more, because they're beautiful. Like this fabric was Dragonfly. I got this at the Chicago show. I don't really know how to upholster, so I'm like very basic, because that's a little challenge. Actually, that's a lot challenging for me. So I could do like a chair, but I can't do it's hard. Upholstering.
Yeah. Right. But you basically take an existing chair and you pull out the upholstery, and
because it's somewhat easy. You could kind of cover up your floors.
Yeah.
Where certain pieces you gotta know what you're doing as far as upholstery.
I want to talk about the emotional connection that people have. I mean, I have to just, it's, a lot of it is me. How I am, get affected by miniatures. I just want to stop right here, because it is that specific piece that floored me when I came to your table. And I don't know if you have a perspective on that, and I don't even know if that's what you're driving for when you create your miniatures. But is there a sense of, do you have any idea of what kind of emotional connection you're having with the people that you show to and sell to?
I don't, and I hope that people love my stuff just to love my stuff. So when you came over to me and you said that my stuff was really nice, I was like very, I was like honored because
Yeah.
I like my stuff, but I mean, you know, people could like their own stuff, and people will be like, nope, that's not really that good. But to
Right.
hear that other people like it is, I love it. That makes
Yeah.
me happy, very
Well,
happy.
so when you finish a piece, does it make you feel something? You're like,
Yes,
yes, this is it. Where
yes.
are you at when you finish a piece?
Well, the same thing I did when I was a kid. I stare at it. I just
Ah,
stare at it, and I love it. I know when a piece is done. There are sometimes I'll do a piece, and I'm like, it's nice.
yeah,
I don't get that. I'm not getting that feeling. But there are most pieces that I'm like, okay, I'm done with. I get that like,
yeah. So you have this sense that yes, this is where this is, all is all right with the world.
yep, yep. And it's right. And when I feel that way, like I'll come down in my room because this is my basement, and
Yeah,
I'll just like I just stare at my room boxes because the
yeah,
room boxes are new. I used to have doll houses, but I feel like with a dollhouse, everything is like so in, and you would
yes.
lose, like you can't put pictures, or I just feel like I lost my pieces. I couldn't see them, so I said, you know what? I'm going to do room boxes. I'm going to
Uh,
take, not get rid of my dollhouses, but
yeah,
maybe kind of get rid of them, except my father's, and I'm going to do room boxes so I could really appreciate the pieces, the scenery. So I do love the concept of room boxes.
let's
But
talk
I,
about that. So
I
so those room boxes are now those. That's what we see behind you. I see one, two, three, four, eight
uh,
room boxes.
there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10,
Oh,
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, there's 18.
oh, so we're not seeing all of them.
And a Louis Vuitton male men's shop.
I see. I did not see that on Instagram. When are we going to
No.
see that?
So how do I do this? Do I just bring the computer over there?
I don't know. I don't want to mess
Or
anything up.
should I bring the piece? Or
Can
do
you
I
talk about it? And then you know what I'll do? I'll edit the photos in.
okay, I'll take pictures of it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is I feel terrible because I didn't do really anything in the Louis Vuitton shop. Everything I didn't make everything and nothing actually. There was an artist who did all Louis Vuitton. It's right there, luggage. So I bought all her luggage. I found her on eBay, and her luggage was absolutely beautiful. I will grab a piece if I can, and so you could see it. So I have a ton of Louis Vuitton luggage, and then Lori Ann Potts. I'm sure
Yes.
you're
Yes.
She's still is she still
I don't know. Is she out of England?
I don't know, but I don't see her stuff anymore, and I bought all her men's ties, jewelry,
Oh,
suits, like, beautiful. So
so
I'm just
that's in your Louis room.
so this is right, one of the Lorianne Potts suit displays. I have, like, 2 of them, and then I have a full-grown men's suit. Love this. I love this. And then
Get
a
it?
ton of Louis Vuitton luggage, which is my boyfriend's like, "You have to sell that." I said, "Are you out of your mind? I am never selling this. I love this."
Good for you. All
So
right. So the room box is sort of how you display, but also the stuff you make goes in there as well. It's a combination.
yeah, so like the shows, like the first time I did a show, I said, I want people to see my furniture in a room box. That way they could maybe say, all right, I like a room like that. Like I like the way she put it all together. So that's how I started with the room boxes. I'm like, let me bring the room boxes to the show, showcase my pieces there, and try to sell like in that angle, not just have pieces sporadically, but actually have them in like a set. So
Yeah.
that's how it started. And I kind of like that idea. I hope other people, like a lot of people came up to me and were like, I like how you decorated the room boxes.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me think, all right, maybe I'm going in the right direction because I never did a show. I didn't even know how to, like, I don't know how to display stuff. I
Yeah.
didn't even have lighting. Like
Yeah.
people were like, Danielle, you need lighting. You can't see anything. I'm like, oh my God. So that's how the room boxes started. Because I'm like, I want people to see everything and see how the piece could look in a real
Yeah.
world setting.
Well, I think the strategy was a hit because that's another reason why when I walked over, I was like, look at this presentation. You presented your work so well. And exactly that. It made you envision, oh, I could see myself having that and putting that into one of my rooms or whatever. I want to go back to that and show more of that but about that inspiration of some of the wool. Uh-oh. Is that me?
No, that was.
Hold on. That was then. And again, back to that maiden form. I'm sorry. I still am swooning over that. It's
Thank
just
you.
so
So that
beautiful.
maiden form, Cripson, right? Cripson, is that how you say it? The plastic.
Oh yeah, Chris Cinnabon or something like that. Yes.
All of those dress forms are.
Yes.
So some of them I cut the bottom. I cut that plastic piece off the bottom,
Yeah.
and then I just kept distressing it, and then I would add lace. I would Mod Podge lace on the bodies.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what they are. I mean, there's other dress forms that they have that I've found online that I'm like, okay, I could work with these too. But that's what that is. And then that particular piece,
Yeah.
I had a black paintbrush in my hands for some
Yes.
strange reason. I made a mistake and I hit the paintbrush.
Get out.
And I'm like, oh my God, I ruined it. And then I said, you know what? Let me try to make it look dirty.
Yes, and that's exactly what I love about it.
So that was a
So that was
mistake.
another happy accident.
Yes, I was like, why would I have a black paintbrush in my hand while I'm working with I don't know why. And then I fixed it. And that little brooch is a nail applique. If you get your
Oh,
nails done,
yes, that's a nice little trick.
right?
Yeah. And then the bottom little
And then the bottom is
oh,
ribbon I got from Etsy, and it
yeah.
had an elastic band on it, so it was that size, but just a little on top was a tiny elastic band. I cut the elastic band off because the elastic band made it look cheap, and then
Yeah.
I just gathered it,
Oh wow.
and that was it. And then I think that little like collar is a piece of leftover lace, like maybe like a piece of like an edging that I'm like
Yeah.
to cut off. I'm like, oh wait, that'll look nice around the neck.
Yeah. And so Mod Podge is your friend, I hear.
For the dress forms, I do like it. Yes,
Yeah.
it's hard to. It is a little bit like annoying to work with. I
Uh-huh.
haven't found anything else. Maybe that something else is out there that's better. But that's what I've used for all my dress forms.
It goes back to just just the overall how it makes you feel. That to me is one of the most wonderful things about miniatures. It's just how we feel at the end of the day, whether we're making miniatures, collecting miniatures, playing quote unquote with miniatures. And I just think one of the great things that you bring to the table with your miniatures is just that emotional attachment and connection, and it just makes you feel good.
Yes,
Yeah.
my friend's like, "Oh, what'd you do this weekend?" I'm like, "Oh, I." And then when I was answering her, I'm like, "She's gonna make fun of me." So I was like, I was painting my dollhouse," and she's like, "Okay, Danielle, whatever." But I that's what I like to do when I'm off. Like I'm off today. I'm gonna work on some stuff.
Yeah, good for you. All right, so how many shows have you done to date?
Two.
Just which ones?
So
Philly?
the Philly and the the international.
Guild.
Yes.
So you've just done the Philly show and the Guild show. All right, so what's up? What is next for you? Where will we see you if people haven't seen you yet, met you
Philly
at
show. I'm gonna do it again.
so that's in November.
Yep.
Awesome.
Mhm.
And so can you give us have you started to think about what you're going to be making for the show? Because that's
Yes, I think I'm gonna do. I feel like people
mm,
liked maybe smaller pieces better. So I'm gonna work on some smaller pieces. Like, of course, they're attached to my room boxes. But
yeah.
I did like shutters.
Oh,
I put shutters on my dollhouse. I stained them. I didn't like the way they came.
yeah.
So I took them and then I made them into like wall plaques. Like I stuck them together and then I just decorated them.
Oh,
Either I put plates on them or I put hanging pots on them. And I'm like, this is actually a nice wall piece for a kitchen.
yeah.
I'm gonna do a few of those.
That's
I'm
great.
trying to have a few different things that I'm gonna do.
Yeah. All right. So that's pretty awesome. So the Philly show, and is maybe the Chicago show in your future at some point?
I get a little nervous about traveling.
Yeah.
I've never traveled with miniatures, so I get like a little nervous. Like people have given me tips. So
Yeah.
maybe one day, because the Chicago show was
Yeah.
really nice. Like it was humongous. I loved it. Like I went there for myself to purchase.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful show.
Yeah.
So
It's a great show.
maybe, possibly.
Yeah. Well, that would be good. I hear you about it. It could be very overwhelming as a maker. And there's lots of unknowns, but there are ways to mitigate damage and all that kind of stuff. But I just for me, just for introducing you to the world, I would love to see you in Chicago. More people to see you. More
Well,
videos. Yeah.
I really appreciate you. That was
Yeah.
I was very excited when you asked me to do this.
Oh,
Nervous.
Oh, you're doing awesome. I mean, like I said, when I can remember the moment when I walked up to your table. You probably didn't hear it, but there was an audible gasp.
I do remember because I took in. I probably remember everyone that came to the table just because I was so excited to be there.
Yeah.
So I do remember when you came to the table. So
Yeah.
it did. It made a lasting impression.
Well, you are awesome, and this has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining. I really, really appreciate it. I'm so excited to introduce you to folks who might not know about your work. We're going to post your Instagram account details below, so we can, so they can follow you and follow your progression.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see more. And guys at home, like and subscribe. We're growing this channel, and I can't wait to bring you more amazing mini content. Danielle, thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
Well, thank you at home. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.